aye today, one of which is the chairman. Chairman Fowler is out under the weather a little bit, and hope for him to have a fast recovery. Also, Councilor Cardozo is not here this evening for same situation. And also Councilor Monahan, unfortunately, got called into work. He may try to get here, but he's definitely not sure of that either. So with that being said, I'm here to share this evening, and hopefully we'll get through everything and we'll be able to get home to watch the football game in ample time. So that being said, again, Madam Clerk, why don't we take the first item that we have before us?
Ordered, that the common necessity and convenience of the inhabitants of the city of Brockton require the laying out of Roberta Avenue from the end of the 1966 layout, a distance of 502.18 feet, to Harlan Circle. And for that purpose, it is necessary to take an easement for highway purposes and layout as a public street or way of said of City of Brockton, said easement passing by over lands now or formerly of those persons shown on Exhibit A, attached hereto and made a part of this taking. Invited Patrick Hill, Interim DPW Commissioner.
At this time, I'm going to declare the hearing open. If there's anybody here in favor, I wish them to come forward. Our invited guest, I would ask to come up first, Interim DPW Commissioner, if you want to come up, because I would expect that you would be in favor of.
I am in favor of this.
You're not, then you leave now. No, I'm kidding you. Go ahead, Commissioner.
We have absolutely no objections to this as a street that needs to be paved. I think we've looked at the street several times. DPW supports us.
And that is in regards to Roberta Ave again, and Roberta Ave, which is located in my Ward 3. The commissioner is correct. It's for us to continue so that we can have it repaved, because half of it was
public, half of it was private.
right. So we couldn't do it this past season, but Councilor Neary will be watching out for it in the next season, even though he won't be around, but I will be to a point. But anyhow, that's what's before all of us here this evening, and thank you. And anybody else that wants to speak in favor at this time, please come forward. Seeing none, I declare that part of the hearing closed. Is there anybody here in opposition? Seeing none, I declare that part of the hearing closed. Councilors?
Motion to recommend favorably.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to recommend favorably to send back to the full city council. All in favor? Opposed? Goes back to the full city council. Madam Clerk, item number 2.
Ordered, that the common necessity and convenience of the inhabitants of the city of Brockton require the laying out of Harlan Terrace from Roberta Avenue, easterly, a distance of 367.38 feet, and for that purpose, it is necessary to take an easement for highway purposes and layout as a public street or way of said city of Brockton, said easement passing by or over lands now or formerly of those persons shown on Exhibit A, attached hereto, and made a part of this taking. Invited Patrick Hill, Interim DPW Commissioner.
At this time, I declare the hearing open in regards to Harlan Terrace, and our invited guest again is our Interim DPW Commissioner, Mr. Patrick Hill. Sir.
Sir, we have no objections to the street either.
I didn't think you would. And the reason for this one is because you, I, and our engineer decided that while we were doing Roberta Ave and the closeness of them being tied in, that we did Harlan Terrace to make it a public way.
That's correct.
That old saying of, kill two birds with one stone, and we figure that way there now. So if anyone is home listening from the Harlan Terrace area, I think there's a former council it could be, but anyhow, I'm not going to be there when it gets taken care of, but it will be at some point in some time, hopefully in the very near future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone else here in favor of? I ask you to please come up and state your name and address to the clerk. Seeing none, I declare that part of the hearing closed. Anybody here in opposition? Seeing none, I declare that part of the hearing closed. Councilors?
Motion to recommend favorably.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to recommend favorably back to the full city council. All in favor? Opposed? Goes back to the full city council. Thank you, councilors. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Ordered that the common necessity and convenience of the inhabitants of the city of Brockton require the laying out and acceptance of Sheridan Street, extending from the end of the 1944 layout northerly a distance of about 1,355 feet, more or less, to Kathleen Road, and for that purpose, it is necessary to take an easement for highway purposes and layout as a public street or way of said city of Brockton. Invited Patrick Hill, interim DPW Commissioner.
And at that particular time, we do have our interim DPW Commissioner here on this item here. And I believe we postponed this a couple of times according to what I asked the clerk to get me for information today. And I'm not sure if we actually closed the hearing on that or we just continue to postpone. However, I'm going to turn to the council because you did postpone this twice, am I correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chair. And I believe from memory, the hearing was closed on this issue and the matter was postponed after that closing.
So it was closed to make the postponement for you
Correct.
to bring back further information
Correct.
to speak upon.
Correct.
And the commissioner's here, I guess he must have worked with you on it, I would say.
Yeah, yes, speaking with the DPW commissioner, obviously he's in favor of this. We work together on this issue. Secondly, I had an opportunity to speak to the residents for a little while after the meeting, and their main concerns regarding the acceptance was those of drainage and traffic. So along with the DPW commissioner, I think we spoke to the residents to try to address those issues separately. When it comes to the drainage issue, I know, speaking with the DPW commissioner, that we're going to get the that truck out there.
Yeah, we're gonna proceed with our CCTV camera truck to go and take a little survey of the drainage, the issues that are going on there, and we can address those accordingly.
Right, so we'll move forward with trying to address some of their drainage concerns. Secondly, some of the traffic concerns we can definitely bring in front of the Traffic Commission to try to address those concerns. Now, again, speaking with the DPW Commissioner, I just want to make it very, very clear, this is almost a 0% chance that we would be seeking any easements for a sidewalk, or, less than 1% chance of looking to repave that road. Again, we are moving forward so that we can eventually address Bud Ave and make that a public road. So what I'd like to do, if I may, is add an amendment to this order, just stating so that the residents can have a say in the less than 0% chance of a repaving or a installation of a sidewalk, that if the city at some point says we're looking to install a sidewalk or repave the road, that a public hearing would be required.
Okay.
So
you're making that in the form of a motion.
Yes, so I make a motion to amend this order, requesting the requirement of a public meeting if a sidewalk or repaving of the street is contemplated.
And that's just future into the time. It could be a few years before anything can transpire at that point.
Right, and I just want to reiterate, there's a 0% chance of a sidewalk being installed on this road.
Okay. Motion's been made.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded with the amendment that the council from Ward 5 has made in regards to this issue. Is there any questions or concerns on the amendment at all? All in favor of the amendment? All opposed? Council is now.
I make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to send back to the full city council as approved with the amendment. All in favor? All opposed? Goes back to the full city council with the amendment. You got that amendment, right, clerk?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Hill. We can go home and get the television going. We'll be right over soon. Okay. Thank you. Next item.
Appointment of Peggy Curtis of 153 Dixon Road, Brockton, Mass. 02302, to the Conservation Commission for a 3-year term ending November 2024. Invited Peggy Curtis.
Ms. Peggy Curtis, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. Anything you'd like to say before the council?
Just that, I've been a resident for 22 years. I'm a lover, a tree lover, I should say. As I was sharing with Jeff earlier, my nephew bought a home in New Hampshire, and I made him justify every tree that he wants to cut down. It's his home and his property, but I made him justify that to me, so.
There you go.
Is something, and I'm also a member of the Garden Club, which Susan knows me from, and I am the horticultural chair and conservation chair for the Brockton Garden Club.
All right, we appreciate that. Appreciate you wanting to take on the helm with it too and moving forward. Any other questions or concerns? Anyone have any questions for?
Motion to recommend favorably back to the full city council.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to go back to the full city council with a favorable recommendation. All in favor? Opposed? It goes back and it'll be voted next Monday night, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations.
Next item.
Appointment of Ruby Clay of 607 Summer Street, Brockton, Mass. 02302, to the Conservation Commission for a 3-year term ending November 2024. Invited Ruby Clay.
Good
Hi,
evening.
how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Anything you want to mention to the council tonight, or?
I'm excited about participating as a constituent. I love this city. I grew up in Dorchester, of Boston, and moving to Brockton and raising my family here has been a great experience. And I'd like to be a contributor to what this great city is. And I love everything about what my children have experienced in living here. So I would love to have an opportunity to be a part of what you guys are doing here.
Great, thank you. Councilors, Councilor Nicastro?
Thank you. Good evening, Ms.
Good
Clay.
evening.
And I should just tell my colleagues that Ms. Clay and I talk pretty often. She is a resident of Ward 4 and therefore my constituent. And everything she said is true. She does love the city of Brockton, loves her home, and I think she truly, I spoke to her today again, she truly and sincerely wants to contribute, and that's our kind of volunteer. So I am wholeheartedly recommending her, and I will be voting for her this evening. Thank you.
Second.
Very good.
Thank you.
Motion's been made and seconded to send back to the full city council. No other questions? All in favor? Opposed? Goes back to the full city council and be voted next Monday evening.
Thank all of you.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much. For
Thank you, Ms. Clay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Reappointment of Janet Trask of 121 Longwood Avenue, Brockton, Mass. 02301, to the Diversity Commission for a 3-year term ending November 2024. Invited Janet Trask.
Sue, get your camera out.
Jack told me you get one automatically somewhere.
You're on
TV, look.
How are you, Janet? Nice to see you as always.
Thank you,
Pleasure.
thank you.
Anything you'd like to leave us with? I mean, you do so much, so we know so much about you and how you get things done, and let's just move forward, right?
Thank you. It would be an honor for me to continue in the same capacity on the Diversity Commission in my community that I love, and particularly now, it's a critical time in our city, in our country, and in our world.
Yep.
So,
It's
Thank you.
definitely a critical time. It really is.
Motion to
Councilors?
recommend favorably.
Second.
Motion, Councilor Rodriguez.
I just have a quick question.
uh-oh.
Not necessarily about you, but about the commission. When was the last time that you guys have met? Is it kind of dormant right now?
It was because of the pandemic, but we're resuming. We've had one meeting, and there are 2 new people that have been appointed, so things should be happening soon.
Yeah. So how many folks do we have now on that commission, do you know?
Let's see, I believe we have, with the 2 new ones, I believe 6,
Okay.
7, with the,
Do you see any issues that you might bring forward in terms of diversity and inclusion in the city within the next few months?
the next
Any
3
plans?
months. Well, our job is to increase consciousness of injustice in our community, wherever it might be, and I hope to be diligent in that mission.
Well, thank you for your service to the city, and thanks for the pictures, by the way. I do see them from time to time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Azak?
Just through you to my colleague, my at-large counselor, Rodriguez. The commission did have a scheduled meeting for last week, I believe, on
did, they
Thursday,
did.
but unfortunately, didn't have a quorum, but they
Right,
did schedule a meeting last week.
Right, and we did have one prior to that, the month before, that real people came and sat at the table, so.
So hopefully, with the more people being appointed or reappointed, they'll be able to attend the meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Counsel. Any other questions? Was the motion made already?
It was.
Motion's made and seconded, and now it's sending it back to the full city council. All in favor? Opposed? Goes back to the full city council, and next Monday evening, we'll appoint you for life. Thank you, Jim, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Ms.
Appreciate it
Trax.
very much. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Petition of KG Collective Brockton LLC requesting an adult use retail marijuana license located at 912 Crescent Street, Brockton, Mass. 02302. Invited attorney Scott Rubin and applicants.
Good evening, Attorney. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Nice to see you.
Same here.
And you're ready to make your presentation to us?
I am. Thank you again. Scott Rubin, Silverstein and Creedon, 71 Legion Parkway, Brockton, Mass. I have with me Michael Pyres and Marcus Johnson-Smith, who are the principals for KG Collective Brockton, seeking a marijuana retail license at 912 Crescent Street in Brockton. I'm really, really proud to represent these two gentlemen. They are an economic empowerment applicant, having been approved by the CCC in that category. They have prepared and spent quite a long time on their applications with both the city and with the Cannabis Control Commission. As I think all of you are aware, you've had quite a few of these applications come through, and you can see how much work is required to get to this point. At this point, this is the final hurdle for these gentlemen to start their operations once the building is complete and the build-out and the construction is completed. So they were before the planning board back in August of 2021 and before the zoning board in May of 2021, and both applications were approved. Site plan was approved as well. The provisional license came through in October of 2021. The location at 912 Crescent Street shares a location with a restaurant. It's only about 2,000 square feet for them. It's a relatively small location, really, comparatively to some of the other approved licenses in the city. It fits nicely in this corner of the city, the east side corner. One of the things that we talked about, even though the site plan was approved by the planning board and the zoning board, one of the things that we worked on with Councilor Thompson was to make sure that it is adjacent to a neighborhood, and Hope Street is one of the adjacent streets that residential streets that this property does border. One of the requirements for the planning board was to take away spaces on Hope Street to sort of prevent a buffer, have less traffic out on Hope Street. And one of the things we agreed to was that we would install a sign that would require any retail customers to go take a left out of Hope Street and not go down the residential neighborhood, which would be a right off of Hope Street. Quite frankly, most of our customers should be coming in and leaving off of Crescent Street anyway, and there will be some customers, obviously, for the restaurant as well, but we will work with the landlord to make sure that they install a sign that we would want all the traffic on site to exit away from the residential neighborhood. So we hope that reduces any kind of impact on the neighbors. This location for Brockton, for these gentlemen, is actually their third location in the city, in Massachusetts. They have a project ongoing in Cambridge, and they also have a project ongoing in Boston, both of which are under construction, as well as the Brockton location. So these gentlemen are quite busy, in the process of opening these three locations. They already are entrepreneurs. They have a Kush Groove, which is their lifestyle brand. It's a clothing brand. They also have an edible brand as well that's being manufactured, I believe, in Cambridge, that's really hitting the shelves right now. So I think the city is really going to benefit from these gentlemen's inspiration as their investment in this city will be shown. They have an excellent plan. It's going to be a bright location with colors. It's going to be designed to be inviting for the customers. I think since I have been in quite a few of these locations, both my clients and competitors, this is going to be consistent, if not exceed those locations that have already been built out. So there's a significant investment that these gentlemen are making into this project. Their expectations are they would be open sometime in the spring of 2022. Again, if you're not familiar, the location did have an unfortunate car accident where a vehicle entered into the front of the building and did cause the restaurant to be closed. And so it's actually under construction already for that particular purpose. But our build-out is ongoing as well at the same time. So, again, both owners have been backgrounded and reviewed by the CCC, and they've received approved their financial plan as well. One of the things that impressed me the most about these gentlemen is their positive impact plan. Their positive impact plan involves assisting a group called Women with Purpose, which is to help women of color enter into this business community and provide professional development to them. And I think that's, that's going to be a great positive impact for this community. So with that, I would ask that you approve this license.
Councilor Thompson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, Council. I just want to say, thanks for working with us. I attended the zoning board meeting when these petitioners were before the zoning board. The plan was thorough. I know there's going to be some modifications to that Crescent Street entrance and exit to make the flow of traffic a little easier, where most people won't be required to leave onto Hope Street. But again, removing any parking from Hope and making it clear that you'd be taking a left off that street and not a right, I think would help reduce any traffic concerns in that neighborhood. Just for the information of my fellow councilors, nobody has reached out in opposition to this dispensary. There was no opposition at the zoning board. They got a great plan. The application was thorough, and I support this project. I support these two gentlemen and KG Collective, and so I ask that you vote in favorable for this petition. Thank you.
So is located is it the plaza across where Cristo used to be?
So you know where Miko's Breakfast? It's right there on the 27, right there at the turn where you would take either a right to the 14 or move straight towards the 18.
I know where we're talking now.
Yeah, so that's the location.
It's a good spot.
Like you said, it's a smaller location. This is not, it's not a huge location, so I don't see there being, too much traffic. As we've seen in the other dispensaries, there was foreseen that there'd be a lot of traffic, and as business has developed, we see that those concerns haven't been seen. So, again, I support this petition.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor. Councilors, any questions, comments? Just want to make a motion, or
Well,
Councilor Blunt?
yeah, just one
Councilor
question.
Rodriguez, go ahead.
Well, Counselor, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Well, normally, when we were doing a bulk of these hearings, one of the questions that we always ask is, as far as job creations, what are we planning in terms of creating jobs for folks in the community?
Most of the expectations that we had initially, again, not sure how much volume of business there was going to be. So I think because the volume of business is maybe not quite what the expectations have been throughout the city, quite frankly. My guess would be that this dispensary would run between 10 and 15 employees, whether those are full or part-time, to cover the amount of retail hours, depending on whether or not, how many hours the individuals are going to work. And it'd probably be more on the lower end of the 10, quite frankly.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Counsel?
And just one last thing, forgive me, Mr. Chair. I think in our conversations with Attorney Rubin, that the expectation is for Mr. Pyries to be the full-time manager on site. So Mr. Pyries will be there as the full-time manager and overseeing this operation. So we do appreciate that. I make a motion to recommend favorably.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to recommend favorably to the full city council. All in favor? Opposed? Goes back to the full city council. Good luck,
Very much.
congratulations.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Ordered that the Brockton City Council adopts new precinct lines based upon the official United States 2020 Census block level data. These boundaries will take effect on December 31st, 2021. Attached maps and legal boundary descriptions as prepared by the Massachusetts Secretary of State's office. Invited Timothy Cruz, City Clerk, Cynthia Scrivani, Director of Elections, Michael Owens, Re-Precincting Community Engagement Director.
Good evening, councilors.
Mr. Clerk.
Just a little background on what we're doing tonight. It's actually pretty cut and dried. Michael Owens from the Secretary of State's office is here. Every 10 years, based on the federal census, we have to redraw ward and precinct lines. And it's overseen by the Secretary of State's office, and actually the law changed a little bit this year. But this map and these, you have at your seats, copies of the current ward and precinct lines and the proposed. And the most interesting part of the whole night, the ward lines have not changed at all, so there are no changes to any ward lines. There are some minor precinct changes inside of each precinct. We worked very hard with the Secretary of State's office to make sure that no candidate, while this was going on, no candidate or elected official has been moved out of any precinct or ward. The original early maps that might have happened that the Secretary of State's office drew up, but they worked very closely with us. However, the early maps were based on preliminary information. The great news is that and I think most of you know this, but our 2010 lines are based on a population of 93,000 people. The 2020 lines are now based on over 105,000 people. So we've picked up about 11% across the city growth. And just so the public understands, the precinct lines are based on census tracts. And in fact, I think maybe Mr. Owens can address this a little bit more, but you can't move a street line or one particular block. You have to move by census blocks, which is why it's kind of like putting a jigsaw puzzle together. So occasionally and in the old days, it sometimes was done that way, and it wasn't the best thing in the world, where whoever was drawing the lines might say, we're going to push this block here because we're trying to move that person into or out of a ward. You can't do that anymore. And I think as you look, I assume, are the maps on your TVs right now? I know they're very difficult to see, but the outside lines of the wards have not changed at all. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them. This does have to happen. I would usually be upset to bring this in front of you with a timeline like this. This has to be approved tonight, and then at final council Monday night. If it doesn't get to the Secretary of State's office by December 15th, it's kind of a moot point because they would appoint a master to draw these lines. Essentially, it would be what you're voting on anyways, because these lines were done with the Secretary of State's office. And again, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Or if you have any questions for Mr. Owens from the Secretary of State's office, or if you just want to get home to the football game, that's good too.
Councilor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, Mr. Clerk. So as you stated that some of the changes here were precinct changes.
Precinct changes, very minor, but a few.
Some were minor, but I did notice some in 5. Is there any way that over, at least prior to the next election, and hopefully much sooner than that, we could get something where it's specific about what streets change to what new precincts?
Yes, I'll work with Cindy in the election office so that we can notify the people, because it will be very few, but we'll want to notify the people that will be voting at a different precinct early on so they know, and we'll try to get that information out. Again, it's really a job of the election office, but I'll work with her to make sure we get that information out early and probably 2 or 3 times in different forms.
So you're saying there is a notice requirement to inform the residents, or?
I don't know if it's in the law, or maybe Mr.
okay.
Owens can address that. Watch your step there. but we will be doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Counselor, I can't speak to whether it's a requirement from the statute. I apologize, but I do know that our office, at the end of this process, once all 351 cities and towns are approved by the LEDRC, our office will then go through coding those addresses and providing those through the voter registry to the city, so that notifications can go out.
Okay.
So we ensure that.
That's important. What's the time frame on that, would we expect?
Unfortunately, because this time around, you may be aware, due to the delay with the census data from the Census Bureau, that has caused this entire process to push back. Normally, this would have been done in June or July to allow those notices to go out by the end of the year. Our deadline for approval to the LEDRC is December 15th, next week. And then we have to turn all of that information around pretty quickly. So I can't, because we're operating in kind of a different timeline than normally, I can't give you an exact time frame, but we are going to be basically working around the clock to get that process done, hopefully by end of the year or early January, to get that information out as soon as possible, because it will affect state elections as well.
Right.
Which nomination papers come out in February. So we're working, that's kind of our, our target, that we have to get this done by.
Great, and I'm glad that obviously you guys would be aware of that, and it's important that we do that. I just asked Mr. Clerk if any, any information that's related to the clerk's office or to the elections office regarding the changes, if, that could be shared with the rest of the council, it'd be appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely, we'd keep you informed, and again, as Michael stated, I think most of you know that we have no effect on drawing the lines for the either the congressional districts or the state rep districts and state senate districts, but there have been some changes that are going to be taking place. So we do want to get that information out early and kind of early and often, so that because there are going to be some changes and people need to be aware of them. The worst thing is to try to get that word out to people in that last week or so and have people going to the wrong place. And
Right.
For fair and free elections, you want that information out early, and we will. We're working hard to get that done.
Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Clerk. No further questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All set? Okay. Any other councilors?
Motion to recommend favorably back to the full city council.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to recommend favorably back to the full city council. All in favor on that? Opposed? Goes back to the full city council. Be voted next.
I think Mr. Roman wants to
Yes.
just.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to the city of Brockton. In my role, I work, with a number of cities throughout the Commonwealth. I'm on the road a lot. I was up in Lawrence, be down in New Bedford later this week. And so, I have to say, the city's done a tremendous job throughout this process. I've worked with the clerk's office very closely, almost, daily contact, and a number of other staff members in the city. And the city's done a great job. It's been tough with this tight timeline, but it's been a lot of work and a great effort by the city. So I just want to take the opportunity to pass my thanks along to the city and to recognize the strong growth in the city of Brockton. I mean, it's, there was 11% growth, which is strong in terms of census. So I think that's a credit to all the work you're doing here. So just want to take the opportunity. Thank you.
It took us quite a few years to get to the level where we needed to be, and
Yeah.
it worked this year, it really did.
Yeah.
A lot of hard work went into that, getting everything getting done with the census. So, I mean, it is a plus for Brockton. It really
is.
is. So
It's a great
appreciate
job.
your help and support as well.
Of course.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Owens.
Thank you.
Clerk?
Mr. President, before I do leave for tonight, if you'd give me a little leeway on one other issue, which I may be letting the cat out of the bag, but I believe tonight is Erin's last night doing the finance meetings. I don't know if you all know, but she's had an opportunity to move to a different department, a growth opportunity in the city. And I can't tell you how great she has been to work with. My staff has been, keep in mind that 6 months ago when I came in, and I had 3 new staff members, a brand new staff member handling the meetings. She's been wonderful to work with. I'm not happy she's leaving, even though she didn't work for me. And I don't envy Anne Marie, who besides doing her own 2 jobs, is now looking to replace somebody that has made the work a pleasure. So good luck in your new spot.
You did let the
Thank you.
cat out of the
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Want to come back, I think both departments will take you, so.
You did let the cat out of the bag somewhat, but in any case, I mean, I might as well take it.
Well, I'm
to-
leaving, so I just wanted
I'll
to
take
say.
it to the
so.
other level that you couldn't take it, because I was council president when she came on to even work in that office that year. That was the year I was out for a while with my hip and everything. When I came back, she was working with me, and I have to say the same, ditto the same thing. Been immensely, it was just a great ride, a great trip, and she always was there to answer the questions and get everything done, and even this morning, she was calling me this morning, letting me know where we were at. So,
With a smile on her face,
Ellen.
or at least seemed to be.
that's always right, it's always right, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Chairman?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I also very enjoyed working with Erin, but where are you going? Because we have no idea, as usual.
Across the street.
Oh, to the school department. Oh.
Yes.
She's
So
done,
not
she's
going
done,
far.
she's done well. DPW to auditors to across the street, right?
Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you. It's
For
been a
us.
pleasure working with all of you, honestly. Yes, thank you for the opportunity. And I'm still next door, so can't get rid of me.
No, can't. She still lives in Ward 3, too.
That's right.
There you go. Yeah. All right, next item, Madam Clerk, since we gave you a little leeway to have fun, but no, I'm only
Postpone
kidding.
that one?
Resolve to invite Emmanuel Gomes, Chief of the Brockton Police Department, to appear before the Finance Committee to discuss the use by Brockton Police Department of the noise ordinance, revised ordinances for the City of Brockton, Section 1450, noise control passed in February of 2021, including without limitation, number of noise complaint calls received with dates and hours of the day, the names of the responding officers, and the disposition, including number of matters resulting in violation notices issued and/or referred for court action, with this requested information provided to City Council members prior to the meeting at which the matter is heard. Invited, Emmanuel Gomes, Chief of Police.
Mr. Chair?
Counselor
Thank you.
Castro.
Chief Gomes was not able to be with us this evening, and so he contacted me and asked for a postponement of 2 weeks. And so I make that motion to postpone this to the
Second.
next
Okay.
FinCom meeting.
Motion's been made and seconded, so we'll go to our next finance meeting following, the following, right, okay. The last finance meeting for December. So that motion's been made and seconded to postpone until that date. All in favor? Opposed?
Thank you.
Postpone until that day, you're welcome. And just before we do depart, I think that's all that we have, but I will remind you that next Monday is December 13th, 2021, so we'll have a council meeting that Monday night as well, and we've already taken care of the situation with saying hello, goodbye to Aaron. Anyone else have anything else to come before Council Azat?
A moment of council's recognition.
Yes.
So I have a few announcements. This coming Saturday is going to be a very busy day in the city of Brockton. We have on Saturday, December 11th, Brockton's Board of Library Trustees will be unveiling a new portrait that will be displayed at the main library of John Thomas. John Thomas was an advocate for education and literacy. He was also a member of the Library Board of Trustees. He was also a two-time Olympic medalist in the high jump. So this is going to be a really nice event. I know we've all been invited, and so we're extending the invitation to the public. Hopefully we get a nice turnout at the main library on Saturday. And then American Food Basket, 21 Torrey Street, who they actually already opened back in November, but they're having an official grand opening on Friday, December 10th and Saturday, December 11th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on both days. There will be raffles, prizes, and all kinds of activities to celebrate their grand opening. So the public's invited, and I believe the officials are invited for the ribbon cutting on Friday. Friday, December 10th, I believe the ribbon cutting's at 11 a.m. And finally, I would like to announce one of my constituents who has been a huge advocate for DW Fields Park and a member of DW Fields Park Association, and has also served as president of DW Fields Park Association many times. Mrs. Pat Hool will be turning 90 this Wednesday, so I would like to wish Pat a very, very happy birthday. That's it, Mr. President.
All set?
Mr. Chairman, thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you, Council. Any other matters? Seeing none, meeting's adjourned.